Okay, so many of you probably don't know this about me, but I did not go to college. And the reason I didn't go to college is because I barely graduated high school because I hated school and it bored me and I did not pay attention. So when now I was always a hard worker. I worked 2 jobs at once, a lot of hours. I served in the Marine Corps. I did a lot of cool stuff, but when I started McAfee Heating, Air, and Plumbing in 1990, I had a lot to learn, okay? I had to practice communication skills. I had to practice vocabulary skills because I didn't listen in school and my vocabulary was very weak. Besides that, in my early life, I used a lot of 4-letter words because I was so weak in my vocabulary. But I had to read a lot. I've read 1,000 books over the last 30 years, and I have taken a lot of classes. And in the early days, it was on cassette. So I would be driving around, put a cassette in and listen to improve my vocabulary, to improve my communication skills, to learn how to manage people, to learn how to lead, to learn how to grow a business and business skills, which I had zero business skills. Like many of you, I just started a business with $274 in a used truck with no air conditioning, by the way. And I just went at it and wore out a lot of shoes, knocked on a lot of doors, and made a ton, hundreds of thousands probably, of landline phone calls. We used to have a crisscross directory. It was about a 3 or 4 inch book that had everybody in my area phone number according to their street address. So I could just go down the street and just call everybody. And I did. Every other day I was calling. On the days I wasn't calling, I was out knocking on doors. And I was going to shopping centers and just walking in and asking, could you do this? Could you do that? But what I want to get back to is I had to practice. I practiced, continued to get better. Even my reading skills basically sucked. So the more I read, the better I got at reading. And so it took a lot of practice. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Hey, this is Greg McAfee, and welcome to the Greg McAfee Show. Now let's get started. Okay, welcome back to the Greg McAfee Show, where we discuss steps to successful entrepreneurship, how to take your business to new heights, whatever those heights may be, and how to follow your dreams and continue to grow and scale your business better than all your competition combined. So what we're going to talk about today, it is titled The Power of Practice. And I just want to give a quote from Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan said, "Practice like you never won, play like you've never lost." Great words of wisdom from a champion. So we're going to talk about today some reasons why consistent practice leads to happiness and success. And on my personal Facebook, I do a word of the day every single day, 7 days a week. And I give a motivational paragraph on a word. I give a Bible verse on the same word, how it applies in the Bible, how it applies to us from the Bible. And then I do between a 1.5 and 2.5 minute word of the day, and I get into it a little bit deeper. So the word of today was practice and consistent practice. And so we're going to talk about today why consistent practice leads to more happiness in your life and more success in your life. So number 1 is progressive improvement. Because when we have regular practice, It fuels steady progress. It builds momentum. It builds confidence, which we've talked about a lot on this show. And it also creates habits of practicing. We've talked before about Atomic Habits, James Clear. I mention it almost every podcast episode because it impacted my life. Again, I've read it 4 times, and I read it with my wife. We were in Florida. I bought her a copy. I had a copy, and then we got it on audio, and we listened to it while we read along with it. Very powerful. If you've never done that, try that. So number 1 is progressive improvement. And as you practice day in, day out, you got to practice everything to be good. Practice isn't just about sports. It's about life. You practice life. You practice business, and you continue to practice. Like I said, reading is practicing. Learning is practicing. You constantly learn. Constantly learn by reading. You constantly learn by watching good podcasts. You constantly learn by going to good classes and learning more about a topic. So that's practice. And it creates a habit. A habit in my life is wanting to learn more. I often say I'm just a sponge. I want to absorb everything I possibly can about the topic I want to learn more about. And whatever I'm weak at in my topic of interest, I'm going to learn more about that topic. Okay, so number 2 is the power of practice. Why consistent practice leads to happiness and success is enhanced self-awareness. Consistent practice cultivates introspection, helping individuals refine their goals, their values, and emotional intelligence. So you've got to be aware. You've got to be aware that consistent practice, what it does for you. And it's powerful in a life because so many people don't do it. So many people think that high school diploma is all they need. Or so many people think that college diploma is all they need. It just starts there. It scratches the surface there. What you learn on the job, what you learn over a period of time in life with experiences and failures and everything that goes along with life, that's practice, and that's learning, and that's being self-aware. And then number 3 is long-term fulfillment. You see, practice rooted in purpose and passion leads to mastery, where you actually master something. And it takes a long time to actually master something. Very few people do it. But you can master it. And it also leads to recognition. And when we first started 20 years ago, we first started winning awards. We were recognized. And we started winning one award after the other, from best places to work to integrity awards to eventually we won the Torch Award. It's a coveted award. And we won the Torch Award a few years back. And it makes long-term fulfillment. It makes a lasting impact. It not only makes a lasting impact in your life, it makes a lasting impact on everyone around you because they see it. We're going to talk about this more. They see it. A lot of them want it. They learn from it. They want to do it. They want to duplicate. Someone said the other day, they said, hey, I don't even know who they were. They got they're our Facebook friend. You know, it's funny. You got friends on Facebook. You don't know who they are. But it was a Facebook friend, and he said, hey, I just wanted to let you know I lost 40 pounds. I got 15 more to go to hit my goal. And we're talking, and I basically asked him, what made you lose the weight? And he said, number 1, my blood pressure was high. My cholesterol was high, just like mine. I lost 100 pounds within 9 months. And I said, what made you lose the weight? So he said, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. And I've been posting videos of losing the 100 pounds almost every day. Some short videos, some short pictures, some short stuff, just to help others. And so when I said, what caused you to lose the weight? He said, those two things and your damn videos. That's what he said. I had to laugh because my videos were supposed to make a lasting impact on someone. And evidently, I've probably made more of an impact than I know. A lot of people around me have lost weight. And he also said this is what I mean here. He also said, if I knew if you could do it, I could do it. I said, I love that, because everything I do, I see someone else do, and I said, if they can do it, I can do it. I just have to figure it out. Might take me a while, but I'll figure it out. I'll do it. So it makes a lasting impact on you and other people. And then number 4, resilience and adaptability. You see, overcoming obstacles during practice builds mental toughness, my favorite words, and flexibility. So your reasons why consistent practice leads to happiness and success: it builds resilience and adaptability, and we overcome obstacles during practice because we're building mental toughness. When you go out to practice, or when you are in sports and you're practicing, especially on your own, that's the last thing you want to do. I mean, really, it's the last thing you want to do is go out on a really hot day or a really cold day, or if you're a swimmer, in really cold water and practice. I mean, nobody really wants to do that. But remember, the brain tells us, no, stay in, you're fine, you've practiced enough. And our willpower, the stronger it gets, the more mental toughness we have, it says, no, we're going out, we're going to make things happen, we're going to practice for a certain amount of time. You know, David Goggins said, don't quit when you're tired, quit when you're done. So we're going to go out for a certain amount of time, and we're going to practice, and we're going to make it happen. Now, if we're talking about business, if I'm practicing reading, if I'm practicing writing, if I'm practicing doing podcasts, so for goodness sake, you know I need more practice. I think we're almost on 180, but in order to get good at a podcast, you've got to record 1,000. So I got a long way to go. But I love the mental toughness and I love the flexibility. And then number 5 is clarity of purpose. You see, consistent practice helps individuals define and pursue their goals, values, and priorities. So you get clarity of purpose. You know what you want to do. You know where you want to go. We often say we know what we want to do when we grow up, and I'm 61. But consistent practice helps us define and pursue goals, values, and priorities. Powerful. Practice helps with that. Clarity of purpose. And the more we practice, the better we get. So, number 6, it increases motivation. You see, celebrating small wins and milestones boost enthusiasm and drive. I just had a younger guy, probably in his 30s, late 30s, come to me this week, visit me, ask me some questions. But he said, my wife isn't saying anything about this, but I can tell she's wanting to know, when is my business going to take off? It's frustrating. I can make a lot of money for a minute, but then I don't have any work for a while, and it's just frustrating. And I said, well, that's normal. First of all, that's normal. And secondly, I said, you're going to hit a milestone. You're going to hit a period where you have a lot of work. Now, I said, you got to be aware of that, because a lot of guys get a lot of work and then they get comfortable. And then pretty soon they're out of work. You've got when the going's good, that's when you got to get out there and hustle even more, because you want to keep that backlog. You want to keep that hopper of work full. So you got to work. Don't get comfortable. Never. Never get comfortable. As a matter of fact, he asked me, you'd have to see our facility and you just have to see what we do here. But he asked me when, and the reputation that I have in my area is pretty strong. So he asked me, when did you reach the point where you knew you made it? And I just looked at him. And he said, when you made it, you got this big building, you got a nice home, you got this car, these cars, you got this stuff. When did you realize that you made it? And I looked at him again and I said, never. I'm still in the practice mode. I don't think I've made it anywhere. Am I doing better than I've ever done? Absolutely. Life is good. I'm extremely happy, but I've not made it, nor will I ever make it, okay? Nor should you ever think you made it. The minute you make it, you're done. Flip you over because you're done. It went to your head. I just asked someone the other day, worth many, many, many zeros. I said, have you ever thought about how much you are now worth? He said, no, I don't want to, because the minute I do, I'm done. Okay. So Grant Cardone said something like that too. He said, I started with nothing. I had a lot of problems when I was younger. I was a drug addict. I had a bad attitude. I got fired from my first 5 jobs. But, he said, I've got 5 businesses that make a ton of money. And he said, I still don't think I've made it. He said, I'm just starting to think that I'm doing well. I mean, that is in our DNA. When you have that, that's in your DNA. That is how you think. And that is why you're successful. Because the minute somebody says, I made it, I know they haven't made it. They're done. They'll probably be bankrupt soon. They're done. Flip them over, I say. They're done. So think about that. All right, so increased motivation, celebrating small wins and milestone, boost enthusiasm and drive. Drive is the key. Motivation's temporary. Drive keeps you going all the time. Drive. Progress and growth. The more progress, the more motivation, the more you keep going. Okay, number 7, holistic growth. Practice integrates physical, mental, and emotional development, leading to an overall well-being. Because practice fosters discipline and accountability. It keeps you accountable. It keeps you moving forward. It keeps you pushing. And losing 100 pounds took a lot of discipline. It took a lot of drive. And I just kept pushing. I had discipline. I had accountability to myself and to everyone around me who heard me say, I'm losing 100 pounds. The last thing I wanted to do was not lose my 100 pounds and gain 50 or something stupid. I mean, that's the last thing I wanted to do. Because people would have lost a lot of confidence in me. And I did not want that. So I kept pushing. And remember, mastery, when you master something, I actually mastered a 10-step process of losing 100 pounds. And I've went over that a couple times, but if anybody wants to hear about that, email me, greg@mcair.com, and I'll go over it with you in detail because it's a 10-step process of losing weight. I mastered that for 9 months. Still today, I still apply 7 or 8 out of those 10. Now, I took a radical approach on those 10, and I was religiously following them. So mastery unlocks creativity. I got extremely creative on how to lose 100 pounds, but in a healthy way with no drugs and no surgery, okay? Now, so the 7 steps of the power of practice, I'll put them up here on the screen, are progressive improvement, enhanced self-awareness, long-term fulfillment, resilience and adaptability, clarity of purpose, increased motivation, and I'll add drive, and holistic growth. Okay? And then I want to talk about just a couple more things. Consistent practice can reduce stress and anxiety. It can improve your time management. It can build stronger relationships. It can enhance creativity, like I said, and it can better physical and mental health. It will increase self-discipline. I mean, who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want any of these things, actually? You can become more successful, and you can increase your value by practice. Practice, practice, practice. Consistent practice. I figured up something. If you just practiced 15 minutes a day, it comes out to something like 7.5 hours a week or 90 hours a year. I've got a quote here by Larry Bird. You can tell I'm old school because I got Michael Jordan and Larry Bird here. But I just liked them, and their work ethic was way above average, and that's why they were number one, and that's why they were champions, and that's why they were the best. But I remember Larry Bird saying he'd get up early, he'd go out and shoot, just hundreds of shots. And then he'd go in and he'd eat breakfast, and he'd be sitting there eating a bowl of cereal thinking, Magic Johnson might be out still practicing. I doubt if he went in yet. So he'd leave the bowl of cereal and he'd go back out and he'd shoot another couple hundred shots. I mean, it was constant practice, practice, practice. So you definitely increase your value by practicing. You practice your business, you increase the value of you and your business. And remember, it's a ripple effect. Inspiring others to do the same. When you do that, you're transforming lives and making lasting changes. My whole calling, the reason I do these podcasts, the reason I do the words of the day, the reason I meet with people all the time and discuss what they need to get better is because my calling is to help people think different and act different. If I can get you to think just a little bit different, you will start acting different. Your business will start growing more. Your team will start working together better. It's a ripple effect of what happens when you start applying practice, the power of practice in your life. Now, let's wrap up with Larry Bird's quote says, I don't know if I practice more than anybody else, but I sure practiced enough. I still wonder if somebody somewhere was practicing more than me. So let's apply that to the business perspective. Are you, as the owner, CEO, or president, or general manager, are you practicing getting better more than anyone else? Or do you know there's someone else out there in your competition world practicing more than you? I would not want to know that. That's a scary feeling because if I know that, I'm going to beat them. I mean, I am going to practice harder. How about your leadership team? Are they practicing? And then how about your team in general? Are they practicing? Are you challenging them to practice? Are you challenging them to read more? Are you challenging them to get on YouTube? Your service techs get on YouTube and learn more? Are they in the lab? Are they in a lab? I mean, it can go on and on and on and on, but are you challenging your team to practice more? Someone out there in your competition circle, they're out there practicing more than you. That's how you have to think. That's how I think, and I will not allow that, okay? Again, that's in my DNA. I will not allow that. And I will not allow any leaders out there practicing more than my leadership team, and I do not want any other team of any competitor we have to be practicing more than my team. Good stuff. Now, I'll leave with this. Don't forget to teach your children how to practice. Because remember, it wasn't 15 minutes, by the way. It was 30 minutes a week is 7.5 hours a month or 90 more hours a year. So got to get my facts straight on that. Think about that. But your kids need to know practice is important. If they're playing a sport, they need to practice more than anybody else. They need to figure out how to do it. You can do it if you want to do it. You can travel 30 minutes across town to find a basketball hoop to shoot at. You can run anywhere. You can swim. You find a pool. You find a lake. You go swim. Multiple wrestling. You can find someone to wrestle with. You can, for football, there's many things to practice in your position. So, it goes on and on and on for kids. Teach them to practice. Very few have that drive to really practice hard, but teach them to practice, and they will get the habit of practicing everything the rest of their life. Okay. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe below. You can also support this podcast by rating and reviewing on iTunes or your preferred listening platform. Don't forget to keep listening, and I'll do my best to keep challenging you. And you can follow us on Instagram or Facebook at The Greg McAfee Show. No spaces, no underscores. Be sure to tune in next week. As always, I got some good stuff coming up. Thanks for listening. As always, carry on. God bless. Make this day the best day of your life, because we're not promised tomorrow. I'll see you later.